Joining us now from the Arizona Cardinals, who had I read the history. He kind of went through the gamut um uh, as far as a rookie quarterback, making the practice squad, getting actually activated during the season, released, and then signed again by the Cardinals. Is Chad Kanoff, who came from Princeton, and his offensive coordinator, his senior year, was Sean Gleeson. Chad joins us now. Chad, thanks for being on with us for a few minutes.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
Let me just real general open this up. Sean Gleeson gets hired by Mike Gundy. He's going to come in here and work with the Cowboy quarterbacks and be the play caller and the offensive coordinator. He's a young guy. You had him at Princeton both as the running backs coach on staff, and then your last year, highly successful year for you and for the Tigers as your offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. What kind of guy is Sean?
Yeah, I mean he's a really great coach. I mean I've had a lot of coaches, and he's definitely one of the best. I should add to that, he was also my special teams coordinator since I was a punter the year before he was offensive coordinator. So I kind of feel like I've seen his whole progression from right when he came in to now leading us to back-to-back years of having one of the best offenses in the country. And I think it's a really smart hire by Oklahoma State. We're lucky to have him.
I didn't realize you were a punter too. You threw for over 7,000 yards. You had a monster senior campaign, and you know John Lovett too, who succeeded you as quarterback at Princeton, more of a dual threat guy, and certainly Sean made the adjustments for him in a one-on-one situation, because I always felt like OC and quarterback coaches and quarterbacks, they have to have that one-on-one relationship. They have to be on the same page. I'm assuming he was very effective in one-on-one communication, getting ready for a game on a weekly basis. You're kind of his extension on the field as both a player but also as a coach. The quarterback is. What was that relationship like?
Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of things really well, but that might be the thing he does best is getting us ready for the game, watching the other team, finding their weaknesses, and then explaining to us how we're going to exploit them, why we're doing what we're doing, and then coming up with plays and making sure we're all on the same page. He's a really good teacher in one-on-one settings, and he also, I would say, is very good at just getting you on the right page and knowing what's going on. And yeah, I mean, he's a very smart guy, very hardworking. He's willing to change his offense to his players. He's not my way or the highway. This is how I've always done it. You know, he's willing to adapt and grow, and I think that's if you like within the NFL, that's what all the good offenses are. They're changing and willing to move around. And in college, it's the same thing. That's always willing to learn and change and adjust and adapt. And he's a smart guy that's hardworking, so it's going to work out for him.
Cody Crucial, who is the play-by-play guy and in the I think athletic media relations office at Princeton, was on with us yesterday, and he said, when you go out to spring practice, you're going to know where he is out there by hearing him before you see him. So he is loud and enthusiastic on the practice field, I hear.
Yes, very much so. I think that's kind of a common trait amongst the Northeast coaches, in my experience there, that it's a lot of energy. They believe in hard coaching, and I think it's good. I mean, you got to be accountable. You got to learn to not make mistakes, and they have a way of communicating that I think people will definitely notice. It's effective for sure.
Yeah, I've had loud coaches growing up, coming up through the ranks in Texas. I know you're a California guy from Los Angeles, uh, but we had an Ivy League defensive coordinator come in this year. Came in from Duke, but he had been at Cornell as a head coach and played there, Jim Knowles. And I think you're probably right, because that was the first thing we noticed about Coach Knowles. The decibel level on the defensive end got a lot louder. So you may
Yeah, it's
be
something
on to
about
something with that Northeast
spiders
thing.
up there. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. Someone in the water. They just have high
Well, and
expectations, and it needs to be done a certain way.
I hope you're good at dealing with both types, because your new head coach at Arizona, he's not a screamer. He's fairly quiet and methodical about the way he goes about things.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, you can adjust to whatever your coach's style is. I think that's one of your jobs as a player for sure. They're just trying to get the
How
most out
much
of you.
how much freedom did you have to check? I mean, uh, was he good with okay, Chad, if you see this, hey, check something else. I mean, how'd that work with him and the
Um,
quarterbacks?
less on the field. I think he's very open to like discussions with the quarterback when you're on the sideline or in game. But we were always trying to go really fast, and I think that those are kind of very opposed. If you're trying to go fast and the quarterback wants to check, so I didn't do a ton. I don't know what he's planning to do at Oklahoma State. He might be planning to do more, but with me, it was more on the sideline. Hey, coach, let's do this, or hey, let's do this in meetings. I'd say less on the field.
Well, and that's something the Oklahoma State quarterbacks will be accustomed to because under Mike Yursich, there was tempo, which was fast, and then Oklahoma State a lot of times would go to what they called turbo, which was ultra fast. And I'll be honest, when Mike Yursich first came in, I had never, and we'd been around with Dana Holgerson here and Todd Munkin, who's in the NFL, and Yursich called plays faster in turbo than probably anything I'd ever seen. Um, the Go ahead. You want to respond to that? You
Yeah, I
laughed.
was gonna say, yeah, we had that as well. I don't know how much Princeton tape you've watched, but yeah, we have our own type of turbo. I didn't watch a ton of Oklahoma State, so I don't know if it's quite as fast, but yeah, Coach Gleason definitely likes to mix up the tempos with the ultra fast, the normal fast, and then kind of slow control game formatted offense. So I mean, I'm sure we'll use whatever's best to help you win. I mean, he's very focused on winning, so I don't think he really cares how to do it and scoring points, I guess, is what he's most focused on, which is what you should be focused on.
Yeah, yeah, and again, you mentioned how he's diverse. He's going to cater to what his quarterback and what his offensive talents, what they can do. He did that with you, and he did that obviously with John Lovett. When you get down to it, let's just talk passing game. I did watch a lot of Princeton tape on Sunday afternoon. One of the things Oklahoma State's always had a rule about, they want to challenge the defense vertically at least once a quarter, and usually it was more than that. It looked like the opportunity was there where you guys threw plenty of deep balls. But as you look at the sophistication of the passing game, and you now have the unique ability to have been in the NFL and seen what an NFL passing game is like, how would you compare that to what you did with Sean and the Princeton offense?
That's a really interesting question. Yeah, a lot of the concepts are pretty similar, I would say. I mean, the idea is like the West Coast offense, you want to use the entire field horizontally and vertically. And I know the coordinator before Coach Gleason was James Perry, who he learned a lot from and I learned a lot from. So his whole thing was we got to use the whole field, get the running backs out. And I would say a lot of that translates over in the NFL. I've had a ton of there were a lot of plays that I'd run in college that I'm running now. There's just a ton more in the NFL. So I would say it's just more a depth and breadth of plays. But the base ones that we were running at Princeton, I'm definitely still running now. So I would definitely agree with that. Maybe at Princeton it was a little bit more get the ball out of your hand quicker, get more completions than it was now. But, I mean, that could change with this offense I'm going to be in now. So, I mean, I don't want to speak for all the NFL, but just the offense I was in last year. Maybe at Princeton it was more get the ball out on rhythm, get the ball on time. But fundamentally, I mean, it's throw completions. And there's a lot of known plays to do that have been around since, like, Bill Walsh. So I would say we're still running kind of similar stretch the field horizontally, 5 points on a die type of routes.
Hey, two things real quick, and I told you I wouldn't keep you long, but I wanted to ask both these. When I looked at the stats, the analytics of Princeton on Sunday after we found out about Coach Gleason's hire, as impressed as I was with production, I was maybe even more impressed with the lack of negative plays. The number of sacks and lost yardage, the number of fumbles was minuscule, especially in Lovett's year last year. They fumbled 4 times and lost 3 with a quarterback that ran a lot. That's unheard of. And then also the interceptions. Your touchdown to interception ratio was awesome. And with John, he didn't throw as much, but it was even higher that ratio. obviously he's not only good at producing, but he's good at teaching his quarterbacks to take care of the football.
Yeah, I mean it's so important. So I mean I think that's when you say like loud types of coaching. I mean it's kind of all about that, not eliminating mistakes and having positive plays on every play. I mean he's got a whole formula for what we need to do on first down, second down to make sure we're staying efficient. And it is highly critical that you're efficient on every down, and that is definitely a point of emphasis with the quarterbacks. That it's your show and it's your job to make sure that every play is efficient. And negative plays or huge turnovers are really not tolerated, no matter what.
Uh, Last thing, I still keep in touch with coaches going back to high school that I had, and unfortunately, the head coach in college when I was here at Oklahoma State passed away. Actually, out in Arizona because he was out there. But I still keep in touch with a lot of the coaches that I knew, and I wasn't a good player. You were a good player. Coaches, they probably light up when you enter the room. They look at me and go, oh,
No.
God. But the end run here on this question is Sean Gleeson somebody you see that hey, Coach Gleason and I, we're going to stay in touch the rest of my life?
That's an interesting question. It's hard to forecast that far in the future, but yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a reason why not. Yeah, I'm still in touch similarly with my coaches in high school. Some actually from before high school, and I would definitely imagine with Coach Gleason too. I mean, I talked to him after the season before I knew he got this job. He just kind of gave me a call. He wanted to learn some things that I'd learned, what I thought. He just wanted to get feedback, which I think is so rare for a coach to call a former player and ask for feedback. I think that really speaks volumes to him, that he's just always willing to learn and do what's best and not kind of draw lines in the sand or think he has all the answers. Be willing to adapt. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to continue talking to him and continue learning from him. He's a very good teacher. I was very lucky to have him as a coach.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Everything you've said, everything I've heard from everybody else, I mean, this guy loves football. I mean, he really is kind of eating up with it.
Yeah, that is for sure. I mean, I think he's more than happy to do this 7 days a week, 365 days a year. For sure.
Well, hey, Chad, it was great talking to you. And again, I told you, I think you're going to enjoy Cliff Kingsbury. I think, like you said, now the advantage is in your court, what you played in and what you've experienced, because it's a lot of what Coach Kingsbury is going to expect when they're at Arizona. So I wish you the best. I'm going to look forward to keeping up with what you do and your career. And thanks for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Chad Kanoff from the Arizona Cardinals, formerly the Princeton Tigers.